Hello and welcome to episode 21 of my Wurm Unlimited tutorial series. In this episode we're going to make some important items to help us to make terraforming, mining and various other tasks a bit more easier and more enjoyable, as I'm sure you're going to see as we move along and progress. I want to say thank you to everyone for all the lovely comments. Thank you to all the new people that have subscribed. That's really actually very beautiful. We really are starting to build a very nice little worm family, and it's lovely because the community that we have is just full of really nice people spread out all over the world, and it's just absolutely lovely. How I want to start, before we start making some items and I start explaining why we're making these items, this is an odd sort of episode because it's, as we progress, these are items I've noticed that I've always made about now in my progression. So I thought, well, I should really then be showing you. So that's what we're going to do. Before we start making them though, however, let's show you what happens as you progress. So you can see this large maple wood barrel, because it's so low quality, it has started to rot at a really high rate, and you can see the graphic, the texture, it looks like it's rotting really high at a high rate. Now if I examine it, you'll see down here it shows us the damage, a lot of damage taken. So notice with your items, when you first make them, they look, if I can say, a lovely clean look to them, clean texture. When they start to rot though, you do get an indication, a good indication with some items. As you can see with this barrel, it is halfway damaged and in serious need of repair. So always remember, as you go along, repair your items. Watch the texture change as it repairs. That was a lot of damage that this barrel had taken, so you do need to check all your items. You see, now it's slowly and surely repairing itself back to quality. We will lose slight quality level, so you can see there when we first inspected it, it was 5.1. Now it's lost a little of the quality level, but that really doesn't matter because we only need a log to improve it with, which we'll go over improving more when I start getting more into blacksmithing and we want to start improving our tools. For now though, this episode of course, so there we are, that's repairing. This episode is making some really useful items that I always have when I play Wurm. Okay, let's start by opening the forge. We're going to start with the forge and we're going to make a cauldron. I'm going to show you a cauldron because they are invaluable. One of my first favourite little items to get. Multiple set of reasons for making cauldrons, not just for cooking. As you can see here, you can put a few, as many as you, I normally have up to a maximum of about 6 or 7 cauldrons in my forge, because you can separate out your different quality levels for your iron lumps. As you progress and you start getting to higher quality levels, you do not want to ruin them by combining them together. You want to put them into separate cauldrons to separate out the quality levels. Another invaluable use for the cauldron, let's go over here and show you, is in your cart you can put a cauldron or two. You see, I've put 2 cauldrons. One I've got my food and water, and another just water. Always good to have lots of water. The reason I put the food in here is because it's like I showed you with putting it in the coffin when you put it in a pottery bowl. When you put your food in a container with water, it will rot at a very slow rate. I made this food yesterday or the day before, I can't remember, but the food, as you can see, no damage at all. When you put food with water, providing it's a food that can go with water, it will keep it from rotting and you'll be able to use it for ages and ages. So let's have a quick drink. So as you can see, cauldrons, very handy, useful items. And that we haven't even got to the cooking side of things. Yeah. Something else to mention, I will be getting to a healing episode soon. So I want to get you prepared yourselves so you're ready for it. Start growing some garlic and onions. Start planting a few garlics and onions. Get the crops going so you've got yourself at least 100 of each in your bulk storage bin. We will be progressing on to a healing episode, and I'll be showing you all the different ways of healing yourself. So just to get you prepped and ready for that episode, start planting garlic and onions. Invaluable resource which you'll see when we get to that episode. Right, back to the forge. So the first thing I want to show you is making a cauldron, because they are fantastic. There's so many uses for them and they're invaluable. Thankfully I've already heated up the iron. Remember, iron lumps must be glowing before they're going to be any good to use. Okay, that's the temperature you need. So let's drop them all into my pocket, and what we'll do is we will combine them. Notice the weight that I have, 64 kilograms. That's the maximum weight you can combine together. And of course for iron, big lumps is good lumps. So combine a maximum of 64. You'll also find that when putting into a cauldron, once you've combined them, a weight of 64 will no longer fit in the cauldron. You have to have under the weight. When they're single, you can, as you could see at the beginning, they all fit in there. But once you combine them, the volume doesn't allow them to be put in the cauldron. So if you want to keep your lumps in separate cauldrons, the golden rule, okay, is keep the weight to 63. Then they will fit in the cauldron. Okay, slight little difference, but it's the difference between being able to keep them in there or not. Right, okay, let's get started. So we're going to make ourselves a cauldron. Let's keep the forge up there. We'll bring up the crafting window and let's have a look. We are going to get to making small rafts in this episode as well, as invaluable as cauldrons. But for now, we want a cauldron. There we go. Right, okay, really easy to make. You are going to start to use a little bit of iron up. It does use a bit of iron up, but it's well worth it, as you've seen, well worth it. Okay, so we've got our iron lump. Let's add to the crafting window. Remember, when you need the large anvil for the crafting, it's always going to be on the floor. Just right click it and add to the crafting window, and there we go. Now here's our cauldron. We'll select that and we will click create. You're going to want to make many cauldrons. Everyone is different for their preferences, but I, like I say, usually have about 5 or 6 cauldrons in my forge and a couple in my cart. And remember, you can also put them in, well, we'll get to the small rafts, but you can put them as well in the small rafts, so you can start to carry huge amounts of items. Okay, the next thing that I want us to make, which we do need to make, is a scythe. Because I want to get you to start growing oats. Okay, it's the only grain that we will grow because it is the most useful grain out of all the grains. You can make bread with it, which we'll get to with the cooking episode. You can tame and feed horses with it. Invaluable for when we get to the taming episode. And you can also drop the grain on the tiles like we've been doing with the grass, because it will feed creatures like the chickens and the rooster. So another invaluable reason for having oats. But before you can have oats, of course, you need to have a scythe. So let's now make a scythe. As you can see, these are important items that we need. There we go, there's our scythe. So now, first of all, we need a scythe blade though. So, and one shaft. So let's grab a shaft. Remember, excuse me, sorry. Remember, when making metal items, the metal you use does not matter, because it's not going to use the wood. It will be called an iron item. So the wood doesn't matter when you're making iron items. Okay, so we got our shaft. Now we need a scythe blade. Okay, so it's going to be a large anvil, and and an iron lump. So that's also easy as well. Okay, so let's add it to our crafting window. Let's add the large anvil. And let's find the scythe. Scythe blade, that is. There we go. And then create. We're using the weapons head smithing skill, so it may be difficult to succeed, but just keep going, you will get one. Let's face it, we've got plenty of iron now, or you will be getting plenty of iron as you go along. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's go back to the recipes and finish our scythe. There we are. So we have the 2 components that we need. Let's just expand that for you. So we have our shaft, we have our scythe blade. Let's add that to the crafting. There we go. Now create. Try again. Okay, as you know that this is using weapon smithing. Brutal skills. Blade smithing, weapon smithing, brutal skills to get up. You can see all the failures we're getting here. But our skills are going up nicely. Well, slowly. It's a very slow process with weapons, but it's an invaluable process. You are going to need it for many, many different items, weapon smithing. There we go, we got our scythe. How fantastic is that? Okay, let's put that in there. Okay, so we've now got that. That was the second important item that we need. Now we can take care of oats. In other words, we can now harvest oats, which is what I told you about previously. I mentioned it in the farming episode, I believe. So it will need improving, though. All of these items. When I do an episode on smithing some more, we'll start improving these items. But we are still limited with our smithing skill. I'm still only on just 12, so just like you, I'm keeping myself at a low level just so I can show you at low levels. But it's a gradual process. It is much quicker in Wurm Unlimited than Wurm Online, though, thankfully. Okay, now moving on to the next most useful, brilliant item, which will be invaluable for moving tons of earth and ores and rock shards, which is the small raft. So let's bring that up. Here we go. Okay, so we're going to need large nails, planks and logs. I have shown you how to make all these items. So we're going to need a total of excuse me. We're going to need a total of 8 large nails. So let's get them. We're going to need a total of 4 planks, so let's get them. Now the rafts do matter with what wood you use, so what wood are we going to use for our small rafts? Okay, you've had time to pause the video. We are of course going to use cedar wood. That is the best wood for rafts with any boat. So let's grab 3 of these planks. Sorry about that, my throat's going a bit croaky. Okay, we won't get the last plank out, we'll save that for last. So we will need 4 logs as well. Yep, we're chewing through wood, but it's fantastic because you can plant your forests, you can get loads. And look how great and fantastic Rainstorm's been. She has got me lots of wood to work with. Thank you very much, Rainstorm. So let's grab 5. Was it 5? No, 4 logs. Okay. We have our logs. Let's now make our small raft. So we will add the small raft to the crafting window. And as you can see there, it's put it all nicely for us. So we will, I always have a habit of doing 1 when it's creating some large item. Because like the forge, you don't want to make duplicates. So to stop that happening, always when you first start an item, put it to 1 when it's a big, large item like a raft. Okay, so we'll create that. This now, my friends, is starting shipbuilding, I believe. We should get, according to the wiki, we will be using the shipbuilding skill. So, here we are, shipbuilding. This is a fantastic skill to start training because we will be getting onto the rowboat once we have enough wood. That's really going to be the only thing that restrains my episodes from progressing at a faster rate, is the fact that me and Rainstorm need to build up resources. So just forgive me for that it's going to take time for me to get lots of wood, because the wood does take time, the trees take time to grow and mature. Okay, so as you can see though, it really is fantastic skill, a fantastic item to get your shipbuilding up. You will want to make 4 or 5 rafts for your cart, as you're going to see we're going to do. So now that we have the raft, we will take it and then we will add it to the crafting window. Okay, so here's the items we need. We will do all the nails first. Okay. Not difficult to make, but you are going to require a bit of iron to make all the large nails. Like I say, optimum amount of rafts is your own personal preference, but mine is 4 or 5 rafts, because then you can fit up to 40 dirt or 40 rock shards into a small raft. So as you can see, if you get 4 rafts, that's 160 rock shards or 160 dirt. Or if you have 5, that's 200 dirt or 200 rock shards or 200 iron or whatever ore you're working with. So you know, it is worth having lots of small rafts. And most wonderful of all, you're preparing yourself for the small raft episode when we get to it. We are going to progress through all the boats, so don't worry about that. We will start with the smallest boat and work our way up through the larger boats. And they will get more and more difficult, as you're going to see. And they will eventually get very, very difficult. But I'm talking about the high-end ones. But boy, are they beautiful. You will see. All in good time. So yeah, because I started off from really low, well, 1 skill, you can see, you know, lots of failures. But we're getting used to that slowly and surely. Okay, that's our large nails. Next we'll do the logs. Now if you had a rare log, a rare nail, or a rare plank, that is the last item you would have added, just like I showed you with the guard tower. With every single item you make, if you have a rare component to it, always add that component as the last item. And then you have a chance of making a rare item, a rare finished item. You can see our shipbuilding's going up nicely. It's nearly 10 already. Wow. Really, really good. Okay, and now we will add our 2 planks. Yep, lots and lots of failures. Get used to it with shipbuilding. Definitely get used to it with shipbuilding. There are going to be a few other skills that as we go through, that you'll see it's the same as this. Locksmithing. You wait till we get to that episode. Failure is going to be just like this. Just like this. Fail, 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 fail. But we will succeed eventually. And anyway, I don't mind failing. You shouldn't mind failing, because notice that our skill keeps going up, even with the failures. Right, okay, let's grab our last plank, which of course is cedarwood. We will add that. Let's get rid of that. And we'll face that way. And let's go. There we are. Fantastic. We now have a small raft. So what we'll do, I will back up the wagon a bit. So notice when you right click your wagon, sorry I didn't mention this in the wagon episode, I might have done, but I don't believe I did. The two choices are embark as commander, embark as passenger. Obviously if it's your cart and you want to drive it, you will embark as commander, but you can have up to 3 passengers, so they embark as passengers. So, okay. Now what we'll do, let's reverse and get ourselves over by the raft. We will take the raft, open up our cart and pop that inside. There we are. Now what you can do, you can either put cauldrons inside your raft. It's totally up to you how you do it, but because it's my food and water, I like to keep these cauldrons at the top level so I can see them, and then I'll put in another 3 rafts. I'll have about 4 or 5 rafts, as you'll see possibly in the next episode. If I've got my cart open, you'll see that there's 4 or 5 rafts in there. So there we are. That's the items I wanted to show you. I don't know how we've done for time. I knew it would be hopefully just 1 episode, so that's good. But that's the important items that we needed. Cauldrons, small rafts, and of course the scythe that we made. So we can start to grow some oats. So maybe plant up 1 tile or a couple of tiles for oats. Start getting some oats put in your food storage bin. Because we will progress on to taming and other use and cooking, so you're going to need oats for the cooking episode and the taming episode. Okay, so thank you for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode and it's been useful to you. Remember, I will only show you things which I know are going to be very useful to you. These items are going to be invaluable. They're going to save you having to keep walking to the water source and drinking. They'll save you having to keep walking to your coffin or wherever it is you store your food, because wherever you go, your food and water now goes with you. And of course you'll be able to carry a ton more load items. So thank you for watching. Wherever you are in the world, God bless you and have a fantastic day. Goodbye.